Hello and welcome to this video, Ansible Playbooks Facts. In the modules video, we briefly looked at the setup module. We also discussed that the setup module is run automatically by default by every playbook execution in the gathering of facts on the target system. We'll look into the facts module further. We'll see how we can use filters for specific facts. While Ansible provides many facts by default, there may be a requirement for us to gather further information. This is where we look at the creation and the execution of custom facts. We'll also see how we can use custom facts in environments without superuser access. If we look at the official Ansible documentation for this module, we can see that we can also gather a subset of facts. This section of the documentation also provides useful examples. Pause the video here and have a look at the documentation. Okay, let's take a look at this using the subset of network. We're going to use the Ansible ad hoc command against CentOS1 with the setup module. And we're going to pass in the argument of gather_subset equals network. And we'll pipe this through more. Although we've limited our output with the gather subset of network, we still get a lot of information. It's important to know, by default, this will also include a minimum selection of facts, as well as the all selection. We can exclude these by adding !all and !min, meaning not to include this information. Okay, and if we compare those two commands and we bring up the previous one and we change the more to a WC for word count with -L for the number of lines, we have 506 lines by default, and if we rerun this with the !all and the !min, that takes it down to 353 lines. An alternative approach is to use the filter option of setup. The filter option can be used directly with a keyword. So, for example, here we can see the specific fact that we've used with the Ansible filter. It's also possible to use this with a wildcard. So, for example, and here we have everything that starts with Ansible_mem. In the variables section of this module, we access the variables that we defined in a variety of different ways. We can use the same principles that we applied in this section for accessing facts about our hosts. When the playbook automatically executes the gathering of facts through the setup module, these facts are placed into the variable namespace and are accessible for each host. If we take a look at a previous example that we've run, our IP address for this system is accessible under the dictionary Ansible_facts, Ansible default IPv4, and then we have the IP address in question. I bring your attention again to the root of this, where we have Ansible_facts. This dictionary keyword is an Ansible idiom. When a module, any module, not just the setup module, returns a dictionary called Ansible_facts. Ansible will automatically add those variables to the root of the guest that is running the module. To put it another way, everything under Ansible_facts will automatically go into the root of the variable namespace for that host. There is no Ansible_facts key in the playbook context, but all of the content underneath it is directly available. The best way to show this is with a playbook. Here we don't specify Ansible_facts. We go direct to the second and third level. If we give this a try, here we have the IP addresses for each of our instances. Okay, so custom facts. Although Ansible provides a lot of useful information, we may require facts from a host that are not provided by the setup module. Ansible has a great feature for this known as custom facts, allowing us to create our own facts that will be gathered as part of the gather facts process. Creating a custom fact is quite simple. Essentially, any script that returns either a JSON or any structure can be a custom fact. By default, Ansible expects custom facts to be placed in etc ansible facts.d, which is fine if you have root access to a system, but is a little less desirable if you're not running as a root user, or prefer to keep your configurations out of the root file system. We can address this, and later on in this video I'll show how you can work around it. For now, we'll create some custom facts in the default location. Okay, so if you go into revision 2, and within revision 2 we have a templates directory. And if you ls here, you'll see 2 files, and what I want you to do is have a look at the first file. A custom fact is essentially an executable file that either returns JSON or INI via standard out. This is a simple shell script. We run this here, and we've got a JSON format. So that's actually there with a key of date, and then we've got a value for the date. And if we look at the second file, this is the same again, but in the INI format. And something worth noting about the INI format, it's required that there is a category. If you try this without the category as a custom fact, it will fail to execute within Ansible. Firstly, we'll create the etc ansible facts.d directory. And then we'll copy our files here. Okay, and let's go back one directory. And what we're going to do is run our setup module against our local host. At the moment, this will only work on our control host as the fact files only exist on this system. And if we page through this, there, we eventually get to this section, Ansible_local, and there, within that, you can actually see our custom facts. For get date 2, we also have the subcategory of date, owing to the requirement that we mentioned earlier with the INI file, having to have a category when used. An easier way of seeing all of this information is with the filter option. So if we filter specifically for Ansible_local, All we see here are our custom facts. Into revision 3. We can use these custom facts like other variables. If we have a look at the playbook we have here, the first example shows a fact that is derived through the standard Ansible facts via the setup module. The next two are our Ansible_local facts, where we have getDate1 and getDate2. And as mentioned previously, because of the ini file category, we have date specified twice on the second example. At the moment, we have host set to all, whereas the custom facts only exist on this one host Ubuntu-C. Ansible Playbook has a great option called limit, and what we're going to do is we're going to run our playbook, but we're just going to limit it to Ubuntu-C. Great. And as you can see there, both of our custom facts have been executed. Into revision 4. These facts are also available in the host vars section. Into revision 5. At the moment, our custom facts will only work on our control host. Let's rectify this. If we look through our playbook, we're targeting the Linux hosts. We then have a task which will make our facts directory. We'll copy the first fact, and then the second fact. Then, we're implicitly running the setup module which will refresh the facts for each of our systems. We're then going to show the IP addresses, so that's the standard one from our Ansible facts. And then if we page down, we have the rest of the playbook for the custom facts with both approaches. Beautiful. The understanding and the knowledge that facts are nothing more than the setup module being run gives us the power to refresh facts while dynamically adding facts to the system through a direct call to the setup module. Okay, so what we want to do now is address the issue highlighted earlier that by default Ansible expects our facts to be in a location that requires root access. This is something I very much disagree with, hence why we've been using and executing Ansible as the Ansible user wherever possible. Whilst this may not be a problem for some, there may be some of you that are using Ansible in restricted environments where you don't have root privileges. Firstly, let's remove the custom facts that we've created on our target hosts. For this, we'll eat our own dog food and we'll use Ansible to do this quickly. Okay, great, and we'll repeat that for the second file. And if we now go into revision 6, take a look here. We've now got this facts.d directory. The facts are now local to us. We're creating a facts.d directory as the Ansible user on all of our targets. We're then copying the facts to the Ansible users /home/Ansible/facts.d directory. Now, this is the important bit. When we're actually reloading our facts here and we're running the setup module, we're using the argument fact_path to implicitly specify where the setup module should look for custom facts. And now if we run this playbook, you can see we've got the same outcome, but this time we haven't had to use any of the root file system or superuser privileges. Finally, before we move on, we'll remove the facts.d from our home directory on all systems. That's it for this one. Join me in the next video, templating with Ginger 2.